What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another video, man. And as you can see, I got a hair transplant, man. I got one of the biggest looks maxing surgeries that a man can get. In today's video, I'm gonna go over the entire process from A to Z, how it went, answer a lot of common questions people have just in general about hair transplants. I got this procedure done about 7 days ago, man. In terms of like health and safety and pain, everything so far is going pretty well, man. So why did I choose Istanbul, Turkey compared to any other place? So originally the price quote from like the online consultation that I got from the clinic that I went to was a lot cheaper than a lot of these price quotes of clinics in the US. The estimate of a hair transplant, depending on the number of grafts that you get, I got 5,000 grafts, but for that amount of grafts in Turkey, in this specific clinic that I went to, the cost was around $5,000. It's gonna vary from person to person depending on grafts and the specific procedure. My cost estimate was around $5,000 when it came to getting the hair transplant in Turkey versus getting the hair transplant somewhere in the US, which the couple places that I checked out, the cost estimate was around $10,000. Already going to Turkey, getting a hair transplant, you're cutting down the cost by half. The specific procedure that I got done was called a DHI hair transplant. It's a very new method of hair transplantation that's on the market. They actually use implanter pens to actually implant the grafts in. After the technicians extract the grafts from your donor area, they actually implant the grafts into these pen looking devices with a machine, and then the technicians and the doctor use these pens to go ahead and implant the actual hair grafts onto the balding areas of your scalp. So Istanbul, Turkey, I got there actually a couple days earlier than the actual hair transplant procedure to do some sightseeing. Some common sites that I saw were Hagia Sophia, the Blue Mosque, Grand Bazaar, and really walking around downtown Istanbul, man. It was pretty cool. It was a little different of a culture compared to America. Very religious, holy city as well. So did a lot of sightseeing for the first couple days and stayed at a hotel that was closer to all these sites. So all of that encompassed the first couple days in Istanbul. And when it became closer to the actual date of the hair transplant procedure, I took a taxi to a hotel that the clinic actually booked for us. No additional cost, which was pretty cool, pretty nice of them. And it was a pretty nice hotel, very modern. So the morning of the procedure, I basically met with the doctor and a bunch of technicians. They did another type of consultation where they actually drew the hairline, the new hairline that they thought would be good for me. And they compared their expectations to my expectations. And for me, my biggest pain points, the places where I was balding the most, were my crown and my hairline near the front part of my head, front part of my scalp, right near the temple area. Those were the two main areas. Really all over from the temples, the front part of my scalp, all the way to my crown, there was balding and thinning everywhere, man. And personally for me, I kind of already knew this, but I never really looked that much into it. When you go to these actual hair transplant clinics, you can actually see like the hair follicles and how far apart they are from each other. So it's kind of an eye-opener again. But luckily I had enough healthy hair on the back and the sides where they were able to extract about 4,000 follicles, and they were able to actually extract about 1,000 grafts from my beard as well. So what ended up happening was I ended up getting 3,000 grafts on the front part of my scalp near the temples, the front part of my head. That was 3,000 grafts placed in there. And then I had about 1,000 grafts placed on the middle part, the middle top of my head, and then 1,000 grafts on my crown. What was cool is the crown area where they did the transplant, where they implanted the 1000 grafts, that was actually all beard hair. And I actually didn't know you could use beard hair for a hair transplant. I thought that was pretty cool. Beard hair texture is a little bit more dense, it's thicker. It would look weird if they used beard hair for like the front part of my scalp, near my temples, around my hairline. That just wouldn't look natural. That beard hair is really thick, it's really dense, so you really don't need too much of it, man. And if any doctors are watching this YouTube video, feel free to correct me. I don't work in, skincare or dermatology or hair transplant clinics, so if I say anything wrong, feel free to correct me, drop a comment below. Honestly, the extraction process was probably the most painful of it, but anytime there was any pain, I let the technicians and the doctors know. They would numb me, and it went pretty straightforward, man, in terms of the extraction process. It didn't take that long. I think about a couple hours, 2 hours in total. So after the extraction process, they bandaged me up. I had lunch, a light lunch, and then afterwards it came to the actual implantation process of the grafts. So in this process, the grafts were placed in like a machine, and the actual robotic machine would place these grafts into implanter pens. And these implanter pens were actually what the technicians and the doctor used to implant the grafts onto my scalp in the balding areas. And this actual implantation process took a while, about 6 hours. In total, it was 5,000 grafts. So altogether, man, the whole process took around 8 to 9 hours. I was under anesthesia, I was numbed, so the actual implantation process wasn't that bad. I don't think I mentioned this earlier. During the consultation part, they actually draw like a hairline and they trace the balding areas of your scalp, and afterward they actually shave your head off and then redraw everything. So it's not like they're just shooting their shot in the dark, right? Your head is actually shaved off completely, and they have it all marked on your head where they're going to implant the actual specific hair grafts. And here's a picture after the procedure. The clinic does give you a lot of antibiotics. They even give you painkiller medication if you need it. And the first couple days after the procedure were the hardest. Today is day number 7 at the time of this video recording. From the date of the procedure, there's not a lot of pain. And the reason I'm wearing this headband, this is a headband that the clinic gives you, is to prevent the swelling from spreading from the top of your head to like your eyebrows and eye level area. This headband I only needed to wear for 5 days. I'm wearing it an extra 2 days. I'm actually gonna cut it off, this headband, a little bit later, probably after this video. This is actually the last day I'm on their antibiotic medication. Now, as far as some common questions, right, that you guys are probably wondering, when do I expect to see the full results of this hair transplant? So the full results, the full dense results where you see everything come into play, everything's grown out, looking very thick, dense, that actually takes up to a year to see the full result. However, when it comes to actual regrowth and your hair just looking thicker, growing back, and looking a lot better than what it was, you actually start to see those results from month 3 to 4, when you first start seeing that hair really growing back, looking thicker. And really around months 4 to 5 is when you can really see the effects of the transplant kick in. You'll look a lot better than you did prior to the hair transplant. That's really the time that the clinic had said that most people will really start seeing that noticeable difference. And really the hardest part of this hair transplant procedure is the first 10 days, man. In addition to taking the antibiotics, there's a lot of other things that you can't do, right? You can't wash your scalp. And trust me, my scalp is itching a lot right now, but for the first 10 days, you can't wash your scalp, can't go to the gym for at least 3 weeks from the date of the procedure. So trust me, my body is urging to get a workout in, but unfortunately I have to wait at least another 2 weeks till I can return to the gym. I can't wear a cap for the first 10 days, so I've been pretty much looking like this, nothing covering my head. But luckily in a couple days I can go out again with a cap on. And there's a whole bunch of other questions I'm sure you guys have when it comes to this. So if you have any questions that you want me to answer, drop a comment below for sure. But those are some of the most common questions that people have. It's really the first 10 days that are the hardest part. Another hard part about this was the first week, the first 7 days, you have to sleep elevated, kind of upright with a neck pillow around your head. The key is here, the first 10 days, really, you can't have those implanted grafts touch anything, because that really increases the risk of those grafts falling out. And if that happens, right, your procedure's kinda gone to waste. So the big thing here is to be really careful those first 10 days. Definitely make sure you're not picking at your scalp, make sure you're not itching your scalp, make sure nothing's touching the areas where the grafts were implanted in. After the first 10 days, after the first 2 weeks, right, you can pretty much go back to normal life. So in a couple days from now, man, I'll pretty much be back to normal life again. So looking forward to that. Now, one thing the clinic does say is in about a couple weeks from now, I'll start experiencing something called shock loss, where those implanted hairs, right, they'll start falling out of my scalp. And this is gonna be probably the most frustrating part, because you end up looking like an ugly duckling for about a month and a half, 2 months after the procedure. This is just a temporary thing. This ugly duckling phase starts happening around 3 to 4 weeks in, but after about 2 months, your newly implanted hair starts growing back again. So that is one thing you need to be wary of. The clinic that I use was Dr. Terzler's clinic. I'll put a link in the description. They're very nice at the clinic. They answer any questions that you have. I was actually assigned a technician that I can directly message for any questions. They respond back pretty quickly. Again, all the instructions of step-by-step of taking care of your hair is given in a packet at the end of the procedure. The clinic even gives you plenty of antibiotic medicine that you need to take. They lay it all out on a sheet of paper, what you need to do step by step, when you need to take what antibiotic. And the whole procedure, man, again, it took about 8 to 9 hours on one single day. The clinic is very accommodating. Answer any questions you have. And I'll link the clinic in the description that I personally went to. Will I have to be on other medication, hair loss medication, such as finasteride going forward? The answer is yes. So the doctor recommends that about a month after you have the procedure, you hop on hair loss medications such as finasteride. This is basically to prevent further hair loss in the regions that you already have on your scalp that have hair. So finasteride actually isn't going to impact any of the transplanted hair, because the transplanted hair is extracted from the DHT resistant parts. Finasteride isn't going to have any effect on the actual transplanted hair. All it does is preserve and maintain the parts of your scalp and your head that already had existing hair to it, so you don't progressively lose more hair over time. Really now it's determining whether I want to go on the oral finasteride or the topical finasteride. Finasteride is the drug that blocks DHT, and DHT is the hormone that will cause hair loss. Yeah, man, that's basically the whole procedure. Some common questions answered, and everything that went down in Istanbul and my hair transplant. So yeah, in future videos, you'll probably see me rocking the hat more often, just because I just had this hair transplant procedure. But hopefully within the next couple of months, you'll see a lot more regrowth. I'll be hopefully rocking thicker, healthier hair, and I'll be looking just fine. Anyways, guys, that is it for today's video. I just came back from Istanbul a couple days ago, so I'm gonna go get some rest, get some sleep, and so far everything's been great. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. And if you're a South Asian guy who's struggling with your dating life, struggling with dating apps, cold approach, all that good stuff, be sure to check out the first link in the description. That is my South Asian Warriors program. Also be sure to check out the free Discord community That is the third link in the description. That is just a community where you can interact with other people, talk about topics such as dating, self-improvement. I also hop on there from time to time as well. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.